Namaste, beautiful yogis. Ooh, let's see where to put you. Let's put you somewhere here. I wanted to kind of quickly in and say hi and talk a little bit. There is always a lot of questions about intermittent fasting and date island because I have mentioned it many times here that I do both, and I wanted to do just come in and answer the most common questions I get about it. I first of all, what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is when you have a period in your day or in your week when you abstain from eating. So the way I mostly talk about it is I just take one part of my day in which I eat less, and that is quite a common thing to do when you're practicing yoga, because if you've ever done any of my classes, you know that you can't really eat before a class, and sometimes you need maybe to have something small or a drink, but you can't fill your tummy with any serious food because then you're gonna feel nauseous and it will cause you indigestion and so forth. So it kind of goes with the yoga lifestyle, intermittent fasting, and I've mentioned it many times that I practice it. So there's always question how I do it. What do I do in the fasting phase? What do I do in the opposite phase? 1 second, I'll be back. And you're not going to be in the shot. Yeah. Everybody's working around. So, hold on. So, bring a chair in here. So, the most common question I get is what do I do during the intermittent fasting phase? Meaning I eat in the evening and I eat 2 meals a day now, and it used to be 1 meal before. Now it's 2. Since I got pregnant, I wanted it to be 2. My needs changed, and that's part of combining it with intuitive eating, or now that's another buzzword recently, but just kind of filling your body. So what I do, intermittent fasting, is abstaining from food for a part of your day, and the reason being for that is that our bodies benefit from rest, and a lot of very important work gets done as far as detoxification, assimilation, energy conserving during the fasting stage. So that's the reason. Some people report hormone rebalancing, weight loss is a very common thing, just because your body is functioning optimally oftentimes. But that being said, it is not for everybody. You have to, if you're eating small meals or 3 meals a day, or if you're a person that needs a scheduled eating, then during the entire day, or you need a breakfast and you need a dinner, then obviously you can't do it because those two are far away from each other in the in the hours of the day. So you can only do it if you feel that you're bloated often, you feel sluggish, you don't sleep well. You kind of need to change something, you need to experiment, find something else that works better for you. Then in that case, okay, try and experiment. If you're doing something that already works for you, you don't need to keep changing things and trying new trends. And intermittent fasting has become a trend lately, which I'm glad about because it's something that I do, so it's just confirming that I'm doing something that actually it's working for more and more people. I do it because I operate a lot better during the intermittent phase. I get a lot of work done. I'm more creative. I'm more inspired, more energetic, and food tends to slow me down. I don't get energy boost from food. We get energy from prana, from how we breathe, how we assimilate energy, and food is for rebuilding and giving you, on a more dense physical level, it gives you energy for the next day because you get glycogen in your cells for your next day, for your next workout, etc. But in general, we That is my strong belief and observation, that we kind of operate on a similar level of energy regardless of our diets. I see people change a lot their diet. I've changed mine a lot, and I always have the same amount of energy because that's how I've tapped into the breathing and the prana thing. That's how my energy is. That's how my mind is, because the mind generally is where we the spiritual really dictates the physical, and how we are in the finer layers is reflected in the denser layers. It's all layers of spirituality. It's all layers of energy. Even what seems to be very dense and physical is still a vibration. It's still quite an ethereal layer that appears to us to be a little denser. I a little bit went away from the subject, a little bit got distracted with the spiritual stuff. But my point is that we kind of feel what we need, and as long as we don't follow rules that we haven't tested for ourselves, meaning when you're a child and people tell you you need 3 meals a day, you still need to test things for yourself and see if that's true for you. As long as we don't follow things just because that's how they are done, but we actually test things for ourselves, and once they work for us, then we assume them as true. Once we have questioned things and they work out to be true for us, then that's fine. If you need, if you've tested your lifestyle and it's working for you, then that's good. But if you just assumed that's how it's supposed to be, then maybe test it, because things are not necessarily how. You don't need to do things the way they're supposed to be. Anyways, how I do it is during the intermittent phase, you can do nothing. You can eat nothing, just water, 0 calories, and that is what is the proper intermittent fasting diet. But I actually don't do it like that anymore because I'm around the house, I'm doing things. I make lattes. I can have coffee or matcha, or oftentimes green juice, or sometimes I will even blend lemon, celery, parsley, and such things. And even though that has fiber, it still works okay for me. The point is to not introduce too much fiber into your diet, because that can awaken your hunger and your digestion. But if you have a little bit of things, little portions, honey works even because it's free of fiber. Those things can get you through the non-eating phase, and then in the eating phase you eat your meal, except for bigger, because you want to get your calories in. And that's how I do it. People ask me, do I do juice during the intermittent phase? I do, not every day. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Some days I have very little of anything but water before my meal, and other days I have juice, latte, coffee, honey, like other things. Even chocolate can work, not too much, but a few squares of chocolate can work during the intermittent phase. Chocolate actually suppresses appetite because maybe the fat and the cacao itself, but it can be a good substitute. I try not to mix too much. If I'm doing fats, it would be fats. If I'm doing sugars, it would be sugars, but I try not to mix them both. It doesn't work in theory, and in practice for me it doesn't work. It just throws my body off. But if it's one or the other, it's okay. And of course, you can also combine intermittent fasting with a date fast. And now a lot of you may have messaged me that you're trying to lose weight and how to lose weight. Dates are quite a dense food. They can be used as a weight gaining food or as a weight loss food. If you want to lose weight, you can combine them with juicy fruits or other fruits, and eat one meal of juicy fruits, and then dates and greens. Maybe wrap them in kale, kind of kale wrap. I love wedges of iceberg lettuce and dates on top, and that gives you a lot of water, high water content, minerals added to the dates. And the dates as a meal, they're very satisfying. Minimum of 20 dates, medjool dates, I would say, as a meal. Otherwise, of course, if you're gonna eat one date, you're not gonna consider that a meal or satisfying. So you have to eat enough in order to get enough energy into your cells. If you're trying to lose, gain weight, a little more fat. Still, dates and fat are not a very, very good combination because dates are a little bit on the dry fruit side, and a lot. If you have 30% plus fat of your calories a day, then it can cause blood sugar irregularities, and blood sugar when it's is not stable, it can cause you kind of foggy thinking. It's just not a good feeling at all. Your cravings are all over the place. You're not feeling energetic. So that's why it's good to keep your fats lower, just enough fats that your skin is soft and your hair is soft, but not too many that your blood sugar is too high. So I find it during breastfeeding that my fats are around 10-15%, and that's good for me. But if I'm healing, 10% it's a little more optimal for healing stages and for many stages. During the heat, summer, usually I need less, but you can feel it. Once you refine your body, you detox it a little bit, you can feel what you need. Your body will start to tell you what you need, and it's usually not what other people need. So what works for me oftentimes won't work for you. Let's see, what did you say? Fruit, I didn't see the whole comment, and I don't even know how to. Fruit bloats you. For the first meal alternative, fruit bloats you. I think, well, if you haven't done a detox, fruit can be reactive with the undigested proteins and putrefactive factors in your diet, so it can bloat you. I don't find fruit bloating, but that's after years of eating it and detoxing. So it could be also that your body needs to adjust, and if you haven't eaten a lot of fruit in your life, then your digestive flora is not the flora that digests fruit. So when you switch to a new diet, your digestive flora doesn't know. Your digestive flora is the flora that digests fats or bread or whatever you're used to. That's the digestive flora. So it takes a while for the digestive flora to switch to the flora that likes fruit. If you combine fruit properly, it shouldn't bloat you. It should actually be one of the easiest things to digest. So try to make sure that you're combining it properly. But if you don't want to eat fruit, then you can eat whatever you thrive on for the first meal. I prefer fruit because it's high antioxidants. It's very beneficial to our health. It actually gives us energy for working out, and it's detoxing. So it keeps our system real nice, clean, liver working optimally, etc. So I do recommend it. But if you absolutely don't like fruit, then eat whatever you like to eat. Eat potatoes with a salad. Eat rice and beans for the first meal. It depends if you like a heavy meal or a lighter meal as a first meal. I go from the lightest to the heaviest. I start with the lightest fruits, like melons. I'll start with melons, and then I go for a walk. Usually my 2 meals for the day are 2 hours apart. Like I would eat or 3 hours apart. I would eat a melon, go for a walk, and then eat my dinner. So they're later in the day, like after 4 p.m. is my first meal. Before that, I'm not strict. Some intermittent fasting people do 0 calories during the day. I don't do that anymore. I have done it in the past, and it's very effective. It is good. You feel good. You feel light. You feel great, and you can eat as much as you want in the later part of the day, so you can be at your optimal weight. Meaning, if you need to gain weight, you can gain weight, but if you need to lose weight, you can definitely, it helps with losing weight. Because one of the reasons is because your liver is working optimally, and oftentimes people retain extra weight because the liver is not able to help you for everything to work properly. So if your liver heals and it's more detoxed, you will find yourself at a more optimal for your weight. So it works in that way. I want to repeat that disclaimer that really it's not for everybody. Intermittent fasting is not for everybody. There's some women that have reported that it doesn't work for their hormones. So it's not like it's not my religion or anything. I just answer questions because if you want to do it, I can tell you my experience and what works for me. But I'm not like insisting that it's gonna work for everybody. It's just I've started it since I was a teenager. Naturally, my mom always told me to eat when I'm hungry, so I just did that, and it kind of naturally happened. Before it was a phrase, before it was a word, intermittent fasting, or before it was popular. And also naturally with doing yoga, you can't eat for a big portion of your day because like I don't do yoga upon awakening, so I do yoga later in the day. I do yoga at 2 p.m. So by then obviously I can't eat. Then yoga, then after that. So I'm not very strict to return to that. I'm not very strict about calories. I don't do, like they would tell you no more than 50 calories in an intermittent fasting phase. I think you can experiment. The whole point is to not awaken your hunger. And for some people, a juice, like you have a glass of juice and you would feel hungry after. So your hunger woke up. You can't do juice then. You will just either do matcha, green tea, oolong tea, pu'er tea, coffee, or herbal tea, chamomile tea, sage tea, whatever. You can just do water and tea. You can have a few squares of chocolate that usually can get you through, and if you don't feel hungry after, then that works for you. You can have lemon water, obviously. Whatever doesn't wake up your hunger, and you have to experiment. For me, I can pretty much drink liquids. I like to drink liquids the entire day, and oftentimes there are teas with nut milk in them. I hear baby, so we'll wrap it up very soon. But sometimes that's I'm seeing a really massive bug outside. I can't tell if it's a massive spider, but it's this size. Or it's a tarantula hawk, massive. All right, so actually, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna bring baby in and I'll answer, I will finish that thought and we'll wrap it up. Who's awake? Who's awake? Let's see, there was another question. Oh, you gained weight on a high carb, low fat. When I incorporate more fruits than starch, but my digestion was more regular. Oh, you do well. You do better on starch. Yes, that's the thing. I've noticed that some people do better on starch. I don't know if it's physiological differences or how we have been raised, or it's a matter of transitioning. But definitely, some people prefer starch. The whole McDougall following prefers starch and does very well on starch because starch is more satiating. Let's face it, if you eat 5 potatoes versus 5 bananas, you're gonna be really satiated on 5 potatoes with the salad on the side. And bananas are less satiating, say peaches, or even less. But the thing is, with fruit, I don't know why, it is a weird anomaly, but you can eat twice the calories in order to maintain the same weight. So I personally, when I eat more fruits, I eat really high calories, but I don't eat high calories if I eat low fruit, like say more vegetables, more starches. So it's a normality maybe. I haven't heard anybody speak about that, uh, but I have experimented a lot, and I have years of kind of experimentation, and it's the fact that fruit is less satiating, but if you eat more of it, it is satiating and you don't gain weight from more. Now there are people that feel far better on starch, and that's perfect because starch is also pretty healthy. Rice and who has a stuffy nose? Who has a stuffy nose? I only speak Bulgarian to her, so she doesn't understand me now. She understands a lot of Bulgarian and quite a bit of English. So now she's kind of speaking two languages, but she doesn't speak them, she just understands them, but I'm sticking with it. I was told to stick with it and it will work out, and now I'm kind of, am I doing the right thing by speaking only Bulgarian to her? But I don't. Anyways, yeah, starch is fine. I think the people that do really well on starch and your energy is high. For me personally, I don't do very well on starch, meaning I love potatoes and kabocha squash, but that's my starch. I don't do that amazingly on rice. I just feel a little, I don't know, not the same. It just, I feel a little different on starch. Not as light, not as, my digestion doesn't feel as light. And I sleep very well if I eat high dates, high fruit, really deep sleep. Also greens for the minerals. So for the weight loss, I was saying you can combine, if you're trying to lose weight, you can combine dates with wedges. You make a sandwich of you slice wedges of iceberg lettuce, you slice it across, and then you place dates on top. It's such a satisfying, crunchy, sweet, just watery, amazing snack. And that way you can get your water content in your dates, which is your dense calories. And again, dates are very high in minerals. The people that gain a lot of weight on high carb, I think the mistake was back in the day, the high carb community was saying eat, like just stuff yourself until you're sick. And that's so counterintuitive and obviously wrong. That, and they were also like eat constantly, eat in the morning, eat a certain amount of calories, don't eat any vegetables, don't eat greens, don't eat, like they're not natural. All of that I think kind of created a bunch of people that gained weight on high carb because the rules were really strict and really counterintuitive. So if you're overeating on the, thank you, Krista. So I think overall, some people that are coming from an anorexic past should gain some weight, but if someone is on the normal weight and transitions to high carb and gains weight, they're probably eating too much. It's probably that whole recommendation of massive amount of calories, and especially with starches, they are of course more dense, so you can definitely pack on the weight no matter what type of food you're eating. You can pack on the weight with dates. If you're not following your satiation cues. So there is experimentation that everybody has to do. No one is going to give you the exact rules, and it's going to work for you the way it works for them. But you can just kind of gather information, see what's worked for who. And some people are very new to veganism that recommend a lot of things, and then they fall off the wagon, and they have recommended to people a lot of things that weren't. I remember back in the day in the high carb community, they were saying you can't eat seaweeds, you can't eat herbs, and I was thinking these people are out of their, like they're out of their mind. And later on they all started eating all kinds of other seaweeds and cooked foods and herbs. So Just listen to your, you don't have to be 100% anything, like 100% raw. You can have a steamed zucchini, it will be okay. You just detox the body. That is an important step, otherwise your cravings would be bad. We have a sticky news today. Your cravings won't be what your body needs. It would be what your body is used to, and sometimes it's addictions rather than cravings. And here, detox your body and experiment. Either try starches or more fruits. Experiment with the amount of time you spend on the intermittent fasting. If you've never done intermittent fasting but you really feel like your body needs a break, you're bloated, you don't feel energetic on a day-to-day basis, then try not, if your breakfast is at 10, try to eat at 11 the first week. Then the next week eat at 12. Then the next week eat at 1. Push it back slowly. Drink either water or green tea or something during the fasting phase, and push it back slowly so that you can adjust. I personally jump in things a little easier, but I think it's because of years of being very flexible with everything. I'm not a schedule person. If I decide to do intermittent fasting, I'll just do it. And my body is adapted to fasting, so I actually feel energetic through the fasting. I don't have dizzy spells or like feeling like I'm moody or whatever because I'm hungry. I don't have hunger pangs and stuff. But if you've never done it, just slowly push it back, the non-eating period. You have to hurry up. Push back the non-eating period and get to it. And then once you start intermittent fasting, judge it for yourself. See if it works for you. Just because it works for me, that doesn't mean it will work for you. I've been doing it for a minimum of, let's see, it has to have been more than 20 years of doing it. I didn't have a word for it. I just knew that I don't eat breakfast. My mom always said that she does not feel good when she eats breakfast. I was also, so I've been doing it for a long time, and obviously I'm loving it. It's benefited me tremendously. So oh my God, my celery juice, and you didn't spill it. You're so cute. Goodness. I've made celery juice. That's another thing you can do during the intermittent fasting phase. You drink greens, and if they don't awaken your appetite, then you keep doing it. And also, if you eat a lot of dates, sometimes or oftentimes it is good to incorporate some kale, some mineral-rich greens. Anyways, I think I answered at least one question. This was a little discombobulated, but I wanted to hop in, say hi. Thank you for not spilling my juice. That was very impressive. Yes, she loves juice. All right, and another thing is combination. We spilled it. All right. That's the challenges of having a baby and doing a live session. But don't combine dates with lemons. Don't combine dates with sour oranges. That will not work very well for digestion. Try to make sure that things are combined properly. Don't eat with food already in your stomach. That's one of my biggest for myself rules is wait to be on empty stomach in order to eat, because once you have food in your stomach, a big meal, and then you decide to eat more, especially if you have like starches and then you eat dates, or if you have proteins and then dates, that's a recipe for absolute indigestion, and it won't work. Don't combine dates with lemon or acidic fruits, because that also is a recipe for indigestion and bloating. So combine things properly. Drink 2 to 3 liters of water before your meals, not before each meal, but before meals. And thank you for spilling it, Lodi. Thank you. Now we have to clean it up. She's clapping, bravo, yes, but no. And there is a little left. I'll make another one. And you're You're such a nerd. See what we did? Ow, Vishlodi. And I think I covered it experiment, and I will cover a little more about it in an upcoming vlog. I'll try to cover a little more, like I'm a little all over the place right now because of the chaos of having a baby spilling juice on the floor. But to summarize it, detox, combine everything properly, experiment, and don't eat when you have food in your stomach already. That's probably one of the worst things that you can do for digestion. And if you optimize your digestion, then your sleep will be better, and your energy will be better, your breathing will be better. And yes, Lottie. And that's why we try to do all of this. And do twists. My twisting classes, they're really good for just optimizing digestion, internal organ work, etc. All right. Thank you for joining me. If you have questions, post them, because I'm shooting a little vlog, and I will try to cover whatever I forgot to cover right now about the intermittent fasting. On the date fast, Google Ali Kamenova date fast. I have, I think, 2 old blogs from the past that are on my website, so you can find them if you Google my name and date fast. It kind of explains the benefits of it. There is massive benefits of date fasting because it's a form of a mild fasting and cleansing, during which period you still cleanse the body and allow your body to heal, but you have energy to live life. Anyways, thank you guys. Namaste.